You're listening to the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton, where real estate meets real love. From closing deals to saying vows, this is the place where homes, relationships, and real-life stories come together. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. I am Ryan Hamilton, and this is the first MythBusters episode where I take some of the most common beliefs that I hear all the time and I separate what sounds true from what actually is. So whether we're talking real estate, weddings, or pretty much anything in between, these episodes are simple. There's 3 myths. It'll be short and practical and focused on what really matters. If you want to see this laid out visually, go to the show notes. I've got a flyer there that kind of supports what I'm talking about today. And before we get started, obviously, we've got to be doing a dad joke because that's the rule on this podcast. So my question for you is, what room has no doors? A mushroom. Okay, let's get into it. I'm sorry for that. All right. So, myth number 1, and this is on a real estate front. This is for all you sellers out there. My home is worth what I put into it. Okay? This usually comes up when people are talking about upgrades, especially the pool that they paid however much money to put in the backyard. Pools are one of the most misunderstood upgrades when it comes to value. Some buyers absolutely want a pool. Some buyers absolutely do not want a pool. Because of that, a pool doesn't necessarily add a fixed dollar amount to every home. Upgrades matter, but only if the market values them. Buyers don't pay for receipts. They compare your home to what else is available right now in this current market situation, and that determines what's going on. And yes, there is a whole separate conversation to be had about which upgrades give you the most bang for your buck, and we may have those on another episode, but we're not going to do that today. Today's takeaway is very, very simple. What you've put into your home doesn't automatically determine its worth. And the idea that you could get a dollar for dollar return on your upgrades, it just doesn't always work out that way. And most of the time, it doesn't work that way. So that's myth number 1, that your home is worth, what you put into it. And usually that's a dollar for dollar conversation. Myth number 2, I need to get X amount of money out of the sale of my home. Number 2 is a big one, and it's usually pretty personal. I need to get a certain amount of money. I need to net a certain amount of money out of the sale of this home. The hard truth is the market doesn't know what you need, and the market doesn't care what you need to get out of your house. Buyers are making decisions based on today's interest rates, today's competition, and what they can afford today, right now, in this current market. Your financial goals definitely matter, but they don't set the market price or the market value for your home. The market does that. So that's myth number 2, that you need to get X amount of money out of my house, so I'm going to price it that way. All right, so let's now talk about myth number 3. My neighbor's house sold for this much, so that means ... my house is worth X. That's how it usually starts. A home value isn't based on what you heard someone else sold their house for, even if it's on your street. It's not based on the tax assessor's value. It's not based on an old appraisal. And it's definitely not based on memories or emotional attachment. Market value is based on today's market, today's competition, buyer perception, location, and oftentimes timing of the sale of your home. So if we zoom out for a second, here are the 3 myths that we just busted. Your home is worth what you put into it. That's talking about upgrades, that you think that you should get X amount of dollars for the upgrades that you put into your house. That's not always going to work that way. It's not going to work that way dollar for dollar pretty much in any situation. The second myth is your home is worth what you need to get out of it, meaning that you're going to set the price of your home based on how much money you ultimately have to capture from the sale of your home. That's going to play into it. We're going to have conversations about what you're looking to get out of it. But ultimately, the market's going to determine the price. The condition of the home is going to determine the price. The competition, the interest rates, all of those factors are going to play into that. The market doesn't care how much money you have to net from the sale of a home. And then the third one is your home is worth what your neighbor's home sold for, whether that was 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 6 years ago. Again, every home is different. Even homes with exact floor plans in the same neighborhood are going to have different upgrades. It's going to be different market timing. There's going to be a plethora, if you like that word, a plethora of different factors that contribute to what you can price your home at. And it's not necessarily going to be, oh, well, my my floor plan is similar to the Joneses down there and they sold for X, last April. None of those things actually determine the value, okay? And those are things a lot of times that you can't necessarily control. So here's the part that I want you to focus on as a seller. You do control some things. Let me get that out there. You control the price that you ask for, okay? And we'll work through all of these things, even the myths, to talk about what that would look like. You control the condition of your home, how ready it is for photos and marketing, and how ready it is for showings, and what it looks like to a buyer. And then you control access to the property, okay? Those are the things that you control. What you don't control the market conditions. You don't control buyer motivation. We don't know why they want to buy this house. And you don't control what buyers perceive as valuable, right? Pool's a perfect example. You've got a great pool. You've spent a lot of money on it. A buyer may not see that as something that they care about or see that it adds more value than a house down the street that's a similar floor plan that doesn't have a pool, okay? That's just one example. And I don't hate pools. I love pools. Pools are a very tricky thing, though, when you're buying a pool versus buying a house that already has a pool. And that's a whole different topic of discussion. So the best results are going to happen when you're selling your home, when the pricing lines up with the things you could control, and then you're able to adapt and move around to the things that you can't control. So that's why we don't ever want our sellers to be set on one price and we're not going to move from here. Well, the market may tell you that you're going to move from there. So one last thought before we wrap up on this. If agents aren't showing your home to buyers, or buyers are coming through, but no offers are coming in, the market is giving you feedback. That is feedback. More often than not, that feedback is going to point to price. Not always. There could be things that we can tweak within the listing, make it show better, do some minor repairs or fix-ups or whatever. But more often than not, it's pointing to the price of the home. At the end of the day, a home is worth what the market is willing to pay for it. Nothing more, nothing less. That is the ultimate takeaway of what I'm trying to share with you today. So those are the myths. And I know it's probably going to rile some of you up, some of you sellers out there. So feel free to drop me a line. We can talk about it. But those are the myths, hopefully a little clarity. If you want to see how this information is broken down in a simple, easy to read format, grab the flyer that I posted in the show notes. If you want help navigating this kind of stuff in real life, you know where to find me. More myths coming soon, whether it's real estate, weddings, or life in general. The biggest mistake will usually come from believing things that sound right, but don't actually hold up in real life, in the market situation, in the wedding world, in real life. So more myths, like I said, coming soon. Thanks for sticking around with me. This has been the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. I'm Ryan Hamilton, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
This has been the Houses and Spouses podcast with Ryan Hamilton. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with someone who needs it. For real estate help or a wedding ceremony crafted with care, connect with Ryan online.